Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a hypothetical but absolutely game-changing shift in American foreign policy. We're calling it the Trump Doctrine, and we're going to explore what it could really mean for the world in 2026. Okay, so let's dive right into the core of this whole thing, the Trump Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. Now, this isn't just some small update to a 200-year-old policy. We're talking about a massive expansion of America's sphere of influence, stretching all the way from the Arctic down to Antarctica. The message here is crystal clear. In this entire hemisphere, what America says goes. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to see how this doctrine actually plays out in 4 critical hotspots around the globe. We'll start up in the icy north, in the Arctic, then we'll jump to the flashpoints in Iran and Taiwan, and we'll finish up by looking at a pretty controversial peace plan for Ukraine. Each of these cases is going to show us a different side of this new doctrine in action. First up, the Arctic. Now, this isn't just about ice and polar bears anymore. This is a strategic battleground, and it's all about redrawing the global map using cold, hard economic power. The U.S. is playing some serious hardball in the Arctic. It's a mix of military might, like moving advanced submarine hunting tech right up to the front lines to watch Russia and China, and just raw economic muscle. We're talking about threatening massive tariffs on European allies if they don't get with the program. The end goal? To create brand new security deals that put U.S. interests first, with or without our traditional partners. Now, this quote is really interesting because it just perfectly captures the transactional logic of this whole thing. This was said at the Davos Forum, and it was a direct message to allies like Denmark about Greenland. The subtext here couldn't be clearer. If you can't afford to secure this incredibly strategic piece of land, we will. And our claim might just become stronger than yours.
And this right here, this is the prize that everyone is fighting over. As the polar ice melts, 2 brand new global trade superhighways are opening up. Russia and China are already dominating the one on the right, the Northeast Passage. So the U.S. is absolutely determined to control the one on the left, the Northwest Passage. Why? Because they see it as the next Panama Canal. If you control that passage, you can slash shipping times between Asia and Europe, and that gives you enormous economic leverage over global trade.
Next, let's head over to the Middle East, where this doctrine takes a much more aggressive turn. The goal here isn't just about influence, it's about regime change. The administration is hoping to spark what they call a Gorbachev moment in Iran, a sudden internal collapse of the current regime, a lot like what happened to the Soviet Union. The crisis in Iran escalated with, just breathtaking speed. A short war with Israel in the middle of 2025 absolutely crippled their economy, and their currency collapsed. By the time winter rolled around, economic protests that started in the markets of Tehran had exploded into a full-blown nationwide revolution demanding the end of the regime. And the regime's response has been absolutely brutal. To cling to power, they've shut down the internet and sent in the feared Revolutionary Guard and the besieged militia. The human cost is just staggering, and it's a grim reminder of just how high the stakes are in this conflict. The U.S. response? Well, it's been an unambiguous warning. This phrase, locked and loaded, signals that every single option is on the table. It's a message aimed not just at the Iranian leadership, but at the entire world, making it crystal clear that the U.S. is prepared to intervene directly to shape the outcome of this uprising. All right, let's move over to the Indo-Pacific and see how the doctrine applies a very business-like approach to one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the world. Here, deterrence isn't just about military power. It's about making the cost of war so astronomically high that Beijing won't even consider it. And this is the number at the very heart of the strategy. A staggering $11 billion. Let that sink in. That's the size of the new U.S. arms package to Taiwan. This isn't just selling a few weapons. This is funding a complete defensive overhaul. We are talking about thousands of anti-ship missiles, coastal defense cannons, and advanced drones. The goal is to turn the island into a porcupine, so prickly and difficult to attack that China just decides it's not worth the pain. So here's the crucial point. This massive support comes with strings attached. The U.S. is demanding that Taiwan nearly quadruple its own defense spending to 10% of its GDP. This is the doctrine in its purest form. America provides the tools, but our allies have to have serious skin in the game. And that shift to strategic clarity, that's a huge deal. It removes all doubt that the U.S. would intervene, a very high-stakes gamble meant to eliminate any chance of miscalculation by Beijing. And this entire policy is backed by cold, hard data. This analysis from the Rand Corporation makes the economic consequences of an invasion devastatingly clear to Beijing. Multilateral sanctions would shrink China's economy by at least 2.5% every single year. It's a powerful warning that an attack on Taiwan would trigger economic collapse back home. So, from a strategy to prevent a war in the Pacific, We now turn to a strategy for ending one in Europe. Here, the #1 goal is ending the conflict in Ukraine, even if it means totally rewriting the rules of diplomacy and forcing some painful compromises on every side.
The peace deal that's on the table is a really stark trade-off. The U.S. is proposing a plan where Russia gets to keep the territory it currently occupies. In return, the fighting stops, and Ukraine's bid to join NATO is taken off the table permanently. It's a brutal reality calculation, trading land for peace. But huge obstacles still remain, especially Russia's absolute refusal to allow any foreign peacekeepers.
Now, to broker these kinds of deals, a radical new institution is being proposed, the Board of Peace. It's designed to be a faster, more decisive alternative to the UN Security Council. And the key difference? Power is concentrated in the hands of its chair, not based on consensus. It's a clear attempt to bypass the diplomatic gridlock and the veto power of rivals like Russia and China.
And this number right here brilliantly illustrates its core principle. The Board of Peace basically operates on a pay-to-play model. A $1 billion donation buys your country a permanent seat at the table. It's a move that effectively commercializes high-stakes global diplomacy, creating a new power club for nations with deep pockets.
And looming over all of this is a massive ticking clock. The very last nuclear arms treaty between the US and Russia is about to expire. The administration is using the threat of a completely unchecked nuclear arms race, which is a terrifying prospect for the entire world, as a powerful bargaining chip to push all sides toward accepting a deal in Ukraine, no matter how painful it might be.
So, what does this all add up to? Let's zoom back out and look at the big picture that's emerging from these 4 different hotspots. A new global order is taking shape, and it operates a lot less like a community of nations and a lot more like a global balance sheet.
Across the Arctic, Iran, Taiwan, and Ukraine, you see this consistent pattern. Alliances are now conditional on what you're willing to pay. Geopolitics is all about controlling resources and supply chains. And diplomacy itself is becoming a business transaction. National interest isn't just a priority, it is the only thing that matters.
And all of this leaves us with one final crucial question. In a world that is run like a business, where absolutely everything has a price tag, what is the ultimate cost of peace? And who exactly is going to be left to pay the bill?